welcome to We Read It One Night, a podcast where two sisters gossip, grouse, and giggle over your favorite romance novels. Grab your pistols and lock and load your bear spray, because today we're obsessing over Destiny's Surrender by the queen of historical romance, Beverly Jenkins. Alison talks way too much about her crush on this heroine, and Rachel provides you with a legal read on 1880s California land laws. Here we go. We have a problem, okay? So you know how we very recently landed on a name for this podcast? The thing is that I think that we're going to have to change the name to I Love Billie from Destiny's Surrender by Beverly Jenkins.
What?
Like, this is now a fan podcast.
I'm not with you on that.
I'm obsessed with her. I love her. Billie could step on me. Her life motto is, I don't take shit from anyone. And she doesn't. She doesn't take shit from anyone. I love her.
I'm going to be honest. The first time I read this book, I was like, this is pretty good. I got through it. But now the second time that I listened through it for this recording, I'm like, it's just like not it. But I'm willing to be convinced otherwise. I have plethora of notes, points for you to address and convince me otherwise. But
I just like, I don't understand how you can read this book and not be like, I would like to kill Drew and marry Billie myself.
Oh yeah, I could definitely kill Drew. Yeah, for sure.
I would like to marry Billie. I would like Billie to be my girlfriend. I will even take the baby if necessary.
Okay, the one thing I do really like about this is that it's a historical, and I feel like it's a historical where I feel like a lot of times it seems like there's like this rule that they have to like never have had sex before, and or if they have, they're like a widow and it like wasn't good, or it was like something traumatic, like it was a rape. Okay, and this is an example where it's like it's not even just like a dumb, or another thing where it's like a dumb bait and switch where it's like she's just pretending to be a prostitute / opera singer but hasn't actually had sex.
Prostitutes in romance, like in general, like I feel like I can list like a few books with male prostitutes, but like no, like female prostitutes never get happy endings. They're just like either like the sassy side character voice of reason who like helps the heroine learn how to give it like a blowjob, or like they die from like syphilis at the end because sure, like they're naughty and they shouldn't have had sex. And like this book is this is literally I think the most sex positive book that I've ever read, because like never like Billie's like, yeah, I'm a fucking prostitute, like yeah, I was a whore, I don't like, so what, like whatever, yeah. I did it as a job and I was fucking good at it. And yeah, like
bite me.
and Drew, and even Drew is like, I have some qualms with Drew as well, but even Drew is never like, yeah, you're such a slut, like I can't believe you're a prostitute, I would never marry you because you're a prostitute. Like he doesn't want to marry her because he's like, what the hell, I have a child. But like he never slut shames, like nobody slut shames Billie unless they're the villain. And it's like, so they're just like, yeah, I like sex, yeah, I like to like have orgasms, it's great, love it. And it like acknowledges that like, yeah, there are stigmas to like being a prostitute and like being a whore, and it acknowledges that, but it doesn't like make it the issue of the book. Like that's not like the conflict is that Billie's a whore. Like that's just like, for sure, hey, yeah, other people are going to judge you for it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I thought it was really good. There were a few times that I was like, I feel like we didn't need to like, with Drew specifically, but we'll get to that. I feel like where he like he could have reacted differently. But I mean, I guess it is all within the frame of like, this is the 1800s. I don't know.
Yeah, but well, also because that's the thing. It's like a more, I mean, Westerns aren't like crazy rare in historicals, but like it's not Regency England. It's like California in the 1880s, right? Like
70s or 80s, something like that.
I think it's the 80s. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah. So
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So as we previously alluded to, the setup here is that Billie, aka Wilhelmina, aka Mina, but only by Drew, is a prostitute. She has been at it since she was 12, which is one of the things that I feel like Drew could have addressed better, but whatever. She's working in San Francisco. She has a bunch of clients, but her numero uno is Drew, who we didn't do the first book of this series yet, but basically he's
him and his three brothers own a ranch.
Yeah, with their mom.
And like Yeah.
And they're Spanish and they're Black, right?
Yeah. So the three brothers, the oldest brother's Logan, and I think both his parents were Black. And then Drew and Noah's mom, who are the two youngest brothers, their mom, Alonza, is Spanish. So they are mixed race.
Mm-hmm.
But Logan is not mixed race, I
Yeah.
believe.
And so Drew and Billie don't have like a mistress-mister relationship. I don't know what you call that.
There's no male mistress.
Yeah. But he's like really into her, and he like buys her stuff, and he like pays extra. So she's like only with him when he's there, which like, okay.
He teaches her how to read.
No, this is my problem. He doesn't actually teach her how to read. They're like, oh, she can't read that well, so he reads to her from the newspaper so she can learn things. But like, that's not, you don't learn how to read by having someone read stuff to you.
She reads along with him, so like he can read the words out loud, which is helpful. Like to read the words out, to see the words like being read to you, like that. That's
I'm pretty
she
sure
does. It's cute, Rachel. It's cute.
Okay,
he helps
whatever.
her learn.
It could have been.
Rachel, it's like
I'm just getting Tamlin vibes. Exactly, I'm getting Tamlin vibes. Like, oh, you can't read? Too bad for you.
He's Rhysand. Drew is Rhysand in this situation.
He's trying to be, but like doesn't do it as.
I think he
doesn't take it to the level I would have wanted.
Stop yucking my yum. He does.
But anyway, I don't really understand why he never like has her be his official mistress, but like whatever, it's fine. Like
he likes to sow his wild oats. Drew is like a pretty boy man whore. Like that's his character.
Whatever. He's really into her, but he's like, oh, I can't marry her because she's a prostitute, which like, okay.
The scene starts with like a sex scene.
Yeah, it starts with a sex scene. So
and
we launch right in.
Miss Beverly Jenkins, like you're just throwing us in the deep end immediately, and I love you for it.
Yep. No, it's great. You know exactly what you're getting, and it delivers for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, great sex scene, 10 out of 10. Ends with Billie realizing that her sponge, is that a real like?
Yes, it's really cool, and and Beverly Jenkins uses this because. Side note, I've been on a Beverly Jenkins binge since like rereading this book. Like I've read all the other books in the series. I just finished another book of hers yesterday. I'm halfway through another one. I have another one already checked out from the library. Like I'm really into Beverly Jenkins historicals right now, but she uses it frequently. It's like a thing where, and I think it's older than this era. Like I think it was used before its era, but yeah, you just take a sponge and you like stick it up there. And like a natural sponge, not like a modern sponge.
Like an animal?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that, where they literally just stuck it up there and then it like soaks up the semen. Mm-hmm. And it's like, obviously, it's still old-timey birth control. Although, interestingly, condoms did exist. Like rubber condoms were invented in the 1850s, but obviously were like super expensive.
But
they were like the reusable
super rich.
kind.
Oh.
Yeah, but anyway, they use a sponge. I think they were fairly effective. And I think they also like helped relatively with like STDs as well. But it's cool. It's a cool like little, she like
it
incorporates
is cool. Yeah, good research. Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately for Billie, or fortunately, depending on the way you look at it, does not work this time. She's like, oh no, there's a hole in it. Gotta do better next time. And she's like, okay,
it like rips.
Yeah, like rips. It's a hole. Yeah. She's like, oh darn, I better like spend more money. What?
This scene like sets up like it's like a master, it like checks all the boxes of like romance novel foreshadowing, because like the condom breaks, Drew gets up, he has a birthmark on his back. True. And anyone who's ever read a historical romance novel before knows that if the hero has a birthmark, somehow that's going to be used to prove the paternity of his child in the future. Like that's how the game is played.
Or identity.
Sure, like birthmark. If a birthmark gets called out, you're like, noted. I will remember that for later. And like Beverly Jenkins is like, I'm going to sprinkle these little details in, and you're going to know what's coming, but you're not going to know how I'm going to do it. And that's because I'm great.
Yep. So, all right. So Drew fucks off to Mexico, I think, to find a wife.
He goes to be a man
for several months. His ostensible plan is to find a miss, not a mistress, a Mrs. But while that happens, Billie finds out that she's carrying a human child. Yeah. Yeah, of day.
As opposed to what?
I don't know. I'm just like specifying. Carrying, I don't know, like a plate of cookies, tea, I don't know, a bucket. Whatever. And this is like, I just don't understand this. She's like, oh, this happened to me before, and the reason I don't want to like have an abortion right now is because like I had to drink this really gross stuff and it made me really sick, so I don't want to do that. And I'm like, I don't know. That just sounds really sus to me because like, isn't giving birth like no matter how bad this like 1800s abortion juice is, like, how is it going to be worse than like pushing out again a human child from your hoo-ha?
Okay, Alison coming in here with the historical accuracy again. The abortion juice is not just like, oh, it tastes really gross and it makes my tummy hurt. Like, it is like very, not even potentially, it is like very likely life-threatening. And I would argue that it's probably more life-threatening than giving birth. Like, giving birth, the mortality rate is what? I don't know. This is in the 19th century. Let's say like 1 in 3 women die giving birth in the 19th century. Like, I would say the abortion juice knocks out like at least 50%. Like, I feel like it's like it.
What?
The abortion juice, historical period pieces will make you think the abortion juice is just like, oh, let me just sip this tea and then I'll bleed a little on my blanket and suddenly I won't have a baby anymore. Not how it works. That's why abortion needs to be legal because these at-home methods of abortion are really fucking dangerous.
No, my friend, I'm pretty sure like abortion was legal in the United States for like a long time. Maybe
they didn't have like a nice little pill to give you like they have today.
Yeah, but people have been having abortions like since forever, and I feel like there were definitely ways to do it that were not
dangerous.
Not that dangerous. I don't know enough about it. It's possible. Whatever. Fine. I can accept that this is a valid reason for choosing to have a child. And she's like, oh, of course. Like, I will just sell the child to my madam and her evil son that I hate and that I shot in the head previously. And it's clear. Wait, it's clear by the end of the book that the baby is like, the plan is to like sell the baby into a loving adoptive home.
Yeah.
But like, it's not clear up until that point that it's not like some nefarious like human trafficking. Like, I don't.
No, I spent the whole book, the first time I read this, being like, is he, well, okay, so like, have you ever heard of baby farming? So baby farming, it was definitely a thing in England, like in the earlier 19th century. I don't know whether it was a thing in America, but it was where you would like sell your baby to like a woman who was like, who would Austin like, allegedly take care of it, but she would actually just kill the baby. She would just kill the baby and take the money. So I don't know whether, like, that's what I was thinking was going to happen.
But that would be Billie paying money to them. It's clear from the beginning that there's some way for like the madam, whose name is Pearl, and her son Prince to make money off of this. And I feel like, oh yeah, I guess she could be selling it to them. Yeah,
I don't know. Either way, I was like, what is going? Yeah.
Like,
and
come on,
then I was like, oh, like, I mean, is this a commentary on like the American adoption system? Because it is like a problem in which like kids will be taken from their parents. Like even today, kids will be taken by their parents, like quote unquote legally. But
yeah, it's like the difference of like a few $1,000s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. I don't know. But I was also just like confused in general about her arrangement with Madame Pearl. Like she was like, oh, she needs to be paid back with interest before the first year. But I'm like, what interest? I thought the interest was just like letting Pearl sell the kid. And also like
I think
at one
that's
point,
what it is, like the investment. But like if the kid dies, then she has to pay her back with money.
Oh, I guess. Okay. Oh, so she wants her to keep her for a year. Okay.
Yeah,
that
presumably
makes sense. It was just
like
phrased really weirdly.
Wean the baby. Like that's what I'd assumed for a year.
No, it makes sense.
Anyway.
So back to Prince, as previously alluded. This is Pearl's like
son.
Dipshit. It's probably not even strong enough of a word. He's evil. Evil son who has a reputation for offing anyone who crosses him. Like you look at him the wrong way, you refuse to like suck his dick. Like he's killing you. You're gonna be right into the Puget Sound, but not the Puget Sound, whatever, the Bay Area, whatever. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if he makes the trip. Whatever. However, Billie, years back when she first got here, he like tried to rape her and she shot him in the head and he's like permanently disfigured from this. And somehow she's been allowed to like continue living this entire time. Like, because
Rachel, she sleeps with a gun under her pillow at all times. He knows that she has this gun on her at all times and he knows that she knows how to use it. And it's said explicitly that she's upgraded in guns. She has a better gun. So like he's like one day I'm gonna get my revenge, but not right now while she has that gun under her pillow.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's just not consistent. Like either he's like this like badass, like definitely gonna kill you, or like surely other people have guns too, right? Like I guess he's like a bully. He only goes after
No.
like people he thinks are
Yeah.
weaker. Yeah. I don't
Yeah, that's the
know.
thing.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing not to question it because here's the thing: if I too would be like both afraid and incredibly aroused by Billie. Like I would be like, you're right. Like chain me up, mommy. Like mommy, sorry, mommy. It's me reading this book. I love her so much.
Oh my God. So
Anyway, she's
okay.
pregnant and she goes off with my favorite character besides Billie. Billie's my favorite character. But besides Billie, my second favorite character is
Addie the Pearl Poisoner.
Woo! Slash witch.
Addie the
Slash
witch. Yep.
theoretically.
So Addie, things to know about Addie. Her daughter was killed by Prince and she hates him. Addie is a witch and can tell the future and also has like possibly magic powers. But yeah, basically
Herbal powers.
herbal
She makes
powers.
like, yeah.
Yeah. She also can make a mean fish chowder. All right. That description when Addie makes fish chowder for Billie the first night she's there, and it's like creamy chunks of potato and like carrots, and I was like, oh my God, like get me a bowl of that. I don't even eat fish, and I was like, get me a bowl of that.
Like, no, I mean, too. Billie was like, I want a second bowl, and I was like, I'm right up there with you,
Yeah.
Billie. Like, I would like this.
So
yeah. Addie's been poisoning Pearl because Pearl also
that's why she,
like her daughter complained to Pearl about Prince, and Pearl didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So
then Addie got this job at being like, she's basically like a woman of all trades. Like she does all the like laundry and cleaning and stuff at I think it's called the Black Pearl is what the bordello
the
is
whorehouse.
called.
Yeah.
At the whorehouse. Yeah. And unbeknownst to Pearl and Prince, she's there to get revenge. She's been I was also confused by this. She was like, oh, I've been giving her a little bit of belladonna in her tea to help with the pain. And I'm like, what pain? Like
also to poison
I don't know.
her.
Right, it's to poison her.
She's
for
been
sure.
poisoning Pearl for several years. She's
for
playing the
revenge.
long game, and she's doing it really like she's like, there's no fucking way anyone is gonna trace this back to me because I'm gonna be so goddamn sneaky. I'm just gonna like sprinkle it into her tea, and her kidneys are slowly gonna shut down. And Pearl at the beginning is like, oh, she used to be really hot, but now her like skin is all like jaundiced.
She's liver poisoning, is what
she's
has,
like losing her hair, and like she looks like she's dying. And Addie's just like sitting down in the kitchen, like crushing up her belladonna leaves and her mortal and pestle, being like,
yeah, except it does get traced back to Addie, but Addie knows that, and she's like chill with it. Like she knows.
No, it doesn't get traced back to her. It gets traced back to her because Addie admits it. Because Addie's basically like, I fucking poisoned Pearl, you idiot.
So as previously mentioned, Addie can see the future, and she's had these like visions of Billie being like a queen or whatever, which is like kind of weird, but like I get it. Like she's sitting on a crown.
Billie is a queen
with her son. I guess she probably I don't want to spoil it. Never mind. She's probably also saw like the other big thing that Billie's gonna do, and that's why she's like, I gotta help this girl. Like she's the means of my of achieving my goals.
But she knows, so she knows how Billie has seen, not Billie, I'm sorry, Addie has seen the way that she's going to die. So she's like, I'm going to die by fire. Prince is going to die by water because like that's the way my daughter died. So like my daughter
because that was her gift.
Yeah. Well, like her gift, like derogatory, not gift like positive.
No. She has like no. It's her gift. She can like because Addie can like see the future in the fire. Her daughter presumably could like do something with water. She also happened to die by it, but I don't think it's guaranteed.
I'm not saying he's dying by water because the daughter also died with water, but the daughter like in death was like, I'm gonna curse you a little bit. Oh yeah, is my gift.
Yeah, I think if you kill a witch, you die. Right? Yeah, if you kill a witch, you're definitely gonna die.
And that makes sense. Prince dies both by fire and by water. True. Which we'll get to later. It's true. One of the best scenes. I love it.
anyway, so Billie's just like hanging out with Addie and like helping her out with her deliveries and stuff. Meanwhile, we cut to Drew, and I don't think we really learned much except that he's like back from Mexico. He's like hanging out. He hasn't found a wife. So sad.
But now he has.
Yeah.
He meets 17. What is she, like 17? And he's like
she's almost 19. Wait, you're skipping I think doesn't he see
No,
Billie
that happens
first?
after he's already courting.
Okay. So he sees the beautiful Rosaline. And yeah, Rosaline it said like she's nearly 19 and is considered, quote, past marriageable age in some corners, which like what? Are they the aristocracy? Like would that have been true at this
Well,
time?
yeah,
I
they're
don't
the
know.
old, Rosaline is part of the quote unquote old Spanish families, which is also where
Mhm.
Drew's mom is from, who are basically like the aristocracy of Mexico.
Yeah.
But like they're California like just recently stopped being part of Mexico at this point in time. So like yeah, they're basically like they don't have titles, but like they're the super rich, like, you know.
Yeah. Well, Rosaline basically is going to get fucked over in a little bit here. And I feel like there's no reason for her to be in this story unless like justice for Rosaline. Like I hope she gets like a story in the next book. Otherwise it's
She
like what was the
doesn't.
point? Okay, well
She
what was the
doesn't.
point?
I assume that she marries the guy. So anyway, Rosalind comes in. She's like the quote unquote other woman, which is often like looked down in like romance readers don't like the other woman. She used to be like the other woman used to be like super common in like the 80s and 90s, like old school era, and isn't so common anymore because she was like the villain. But like Rosalind isn't the villain. Like she's just like this nice gal who like dates Drew for a while. And like I like that
Right.
she's not like she's just like she seems cool. Like she seems like generally nice.
Yeah, and she doesn't deserve what's about to happen to her. So Drew
Well,
is
but she
like,
gets out
so
from under her mom, which is good.
it's true.
Rosaline
It's
has a
true.
terrible mom named fucking
Emelina.
Emelina Ruiz.
Yeah.
She's a bitch. She's like super conservative and like
All the
super Catholic and very controlling and judgmental. And her husband cheated on her and is now living with his mistress and has a bunch of bastards. So she's like very anti-bastard,
Oh yeah.
which is important to remember for later. That
Yeah.
she like thinks all bastards are going to
Yeah.
hell, basically.
So yeah. So Drew runs into Billie like one time. Drew goes to find Billie, right? He's like, "Oh, I miss her. Like I was trying to
Before he
find
meets
a
Rosaline, he
girl."
tries to find Billie.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
Prince is like, she
like,
left town, but really she's
yeah.
just living by the docks.
Yeah, and no, he succeeds. He sees her when she's like
Not
super
yet. No.
pregnant. What?
He tries to find her. He goes to the prostitute house to visit her one last time. Doesn't see her. Prince is like, she skipped town. Drew is like, oh no, what happened to Billie? Then he meets Rosaline. And he meets
Mm.
Rosaline, also another important thing, at his friend Consuela's house. She's having a party.
Oh yeah.
Consuela's relatively relevant later on.
That's what
Anyway,
yeah.
then after he's been courting, he has to court Rosaline for a year because her mom's a bitch. And in the midst of courting Rosaline, he's like down at the docks getting his shoe shined, and Billie is making a delivery for Addie. And so they run into each other.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, do you need help?" And she's like, "What? Are you gonna like claim this kid?" Like, yeah, right. Like, I don't know who the father is. Get out of town. Get out of here. And then he like considers
Doesn't know who the
following
father is
her.
yet.
Yeah, and he considers following her, but it's like, "No, I don't want to upset her even more, so I'm gonna go back to Rosaline."
Which
So
is, I don't know how to feel about that because on one hand, I'm like, I like when a man respects a woman's wishes, but I'm also like, you bitch, fight for her. That's your soulmate. Like, you coward, go after
yeah, but
her.
that's another issue I have though, is that he doesn't really like buy into the whole soulmate thing until he hears Addie's prophecy. I don't know. We'll get to that.
I feel like that's part of Drew's journey, is that he's like very cynical. He's very much like go with the flow. Like he doesn't,
yeah.
like he takes things
So
seriously, but he also like doesn't. He's very sort of like loose. He's not anchored down.
sure.
And Billie and his son anchor him down.
Yeah. So in the year that Drew was courting Rosaline, Billie has now had the baby and is realizing that she's not that cool with like selling him to the human traffickers / adoption agency that is Prince Duchan's. She's like, oh man, I couldn't have seen this coming. Like I actually like this kid that I have to like take care of for a year. Like, oh man, who could have? And so
who could have predicted
Prince,
this?
Yeah. So Prince shows up like a week before he's supposed to, and she's like, no,
before the
like,
kids, he's supposed to come get him on the kid's first birthday. The kid's name is
yeah,
Antonio, by the way.
Antonio Andrew.
Name.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So
named
the
after
kid has
Drew.
also been born, as we said before, with we didn't say it, but the big reveal, a birthmark in the exact same place as Drew.
It looks the same. It's the same
Yeah.
birthmark. What a surprise!
I mean, I like this as a way of like establishing paternity, but like it really does require suspending disbelief that a birthmark would be hereditary. Like that just.
Well, there is like I mean, obviously a birthmark is different, but like port wine stains
Yeah,
are
I guess.
hereditary. So
Yeah.
I was reading a different book, a Tessa Dare book, in which the heroine is like an orphan, and like the way that she like discovers that she's part of this family who gets introduced is that they all have like a port wine stain somewhere on their body.
Mm.
So she has like a port wine stain on her face, and like her like one of her cousins has one on her like wherever, like, so it's a yeah. Anyway, those are definitely hereditary. I don't think that like regular birthmarks are, but it's definitely a historical romance thing because they didn't have paternity tests. So they're like,
true.
how are we going to do it?
Yeah. I kind of wish there could have just been a way for him to like, no, I don't know, like trust. But like, I guess she didn't know either. So it wouldn't have like, it was necessary.
She wouldn't have gone to Drew for help that she didn't know. I do want to acknowledge before we move on that so Drew's a lawyer and he helps like Spanish families who are getting their land stolen by the US government.
I did have some notes on this.
Yeah, but he's currently facing a problem where like obviously this is sort of like in the depths of the beginning of Jim Crow, post Civil War, and like he's starting to have problems as a Black man, like representing people. Like they aren't letting him represent cases in court, and he's like, I mean, I'm not gonna like lose everything because I still have the ranch and shit for like income, but like it sucks because I can't do something that I'm really passionate about because of this.
So while Drew is dealing with his professional crisis, Billie is dealing with her personal crisis of not wanting to sell her infant son into unclear circumstances. So she's like, when Prince shows up, she's like, fuck, he's sick. You don't want to have to deal with him when he's sick. And he's like, just drug him next time so he doesn't cry. I don't want to deal with that.
That's evil.
Yeah. And
wasn't already clear. Yeah. He wants to drug the baby.
Although didn't people like gave their kids like a few drops of brandy at this time, didn't they?
Yeah, to like get them to go to bed. No, but that's also like, so the baby Antonio's like teething. That's why he's crying. And it's like a thing. Like you rub like alcohol on the baby's gums to like numb them, which I'm pretty sure is something that like people still do today. Like you just give them a little like cotton balls soaked with brandy.
You can probably do like the cold store shit instead. Like not, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some sort of baby safe way to do it now.
So here's where, I mean, this just comes back to like, what does Billie think is going to happen to the baby? Like, does she think he's going to a loving home, or is she like unclear? Because I feel like a lot of this, as evil as Prince is, a lot of this considering Billie's original plan, which at this point she's like, fuck, okay, I gotta go to Drew's house. I'm gonna drop off the baby with him. I'm gonna ditch the baby. I'm going east, okay? So her plan is to drop him off with his biological father, who she has no reason to expect will like want to take care of him. Versus, as we find out later, like Antonio's destiny a la Prince was to go to like a very loving family. I just don't understand if Billie isn't planning to keep the baby with her, like why is she so adamant that he go to Drew, I guess.
Well, okay. So multiple responses to your multi-point query. One, the babe Antonio, like the family that he goes to at the end, spoiler alert, is not the original family that Prince was going to sell him to.
Yeah.
Because his deal falls through because Billie leaves and like the family's like, we're not like going to wait this long for the baby. Secondly, I think she doesn't trust Prince. She's like, you know what? It's actually like, I love my baby. And like before, when I just like thought he was like an it, because I think she thinks she's like, I referred to him as an it before he was born. She's like, I don't really give a fuck like what happens to him, like whatever. And now she's like, oh no, I give a fuck what happens to him. And Prince is absolutely like, I have severe doubts that Prince is gonna like give him a good home. So she's both like, I want to keep the baby safe. Ideally, I would like to stay with the baby, but that is not an option. So I'm gonna go drop him off at his rich papa's house. So his rich papa can like keep him safe, and then I'm gonna run east so Prince doesn't kill me, because Prince is like, I'm literally gonna kill you and the baby if you try to run away.
I mean,
like he explicitly says
I mean, I guess this is just like Prince shooting himself in the foot by being a murderous evil adoption agency runner.
By telling, he's like, yes, let me tell this woman who has shot me in the face, who has shown that she does not give a shit about what anyone thinks. Let me threaten her. And that, there's no way this could backfire. There's no way that this could like go wrong in any way.
Prince is just not the brightest. I don't know. He does take Addie seriously. Obviously. He does respect the power of witches, which is a point in his favor. But yeah.
Yeah, he's
But
like, he has a
speaking
whole
of
internal monologue where he's like, I know better than to fuck with witches. Like, I know better than that. He's even at one point, he's like, I don't want to fuck with Addie because, like, even if I kill her, she could curse me. So, like, I may even need to go to, like, Sacramento and get, like, a rival witch to help me, like, battle it out. Which I honestly would have loved, like, a little, like, scene in which, like, Addie and a rival witch were, like, throwing, like, belladonna at each other.
Yeah. So speaking of Addie the witch, she helps Billie escape. Billie is like thinking, I gotta get the hell out of Dodge. And then Addie's like, all right, time to go. And Billie's like, how'd you know? Which I choose to take that means that Addie has mind reading powers as well.
Yes. Well, Addie just like pulls out her multi-point plan that like she's like, I've been like, what do you mean? I've been like doing this I've been planning this for months. She has like an Excel sheet of like, okay, so at like 9:52 p.m. you're gonna get on this boat with this guy and then he's gonna take you down the river. Like,
and so she gets down the river to said ranch, which is called Destiny. That's why all the books in the series are called Destiny something.
Isn't it? But it's like Destino or something. It's like Spanish. Whatever. What is Destiny in Spanish?
Destino, I guess. Yeah, Destino.
Is it? You took
Spanish. And she arrives just in time to crash Drew and Rosaline's engagement party.
Woo!
Yeah. Which just like poor Rosaline. Like, what is the point of her being here? She's just collateral damage. Like, she does nothing wrong. We only hear good things about her. She helped her older sister escape their mother and like marry who she wanted. She is just overall upstanding gal. And by the middle of this book, she's absconding to avoid being murdered and raped. Like what did she do?
Well, okay. To be fair to Drew for dragging her into this, Rosaline, and this is skipping ahead a little bit, but like Rosaline would have been fucked. Even if Drew had never met her, Rosaline still would have been fucked because her mom, we found out later, her mom borrowed money from Prince.
Yeah,
her mom borrowed money from Prince and
to marry Drew.
No. She planned to pay it off by Rosaline marrying Drew.
No.
We don't find out what she borrowed the money for.
No, Prince says, "Oh, you buried it. You borrowed it for a business venture. What was the business venture?" And she's like, oh, it was my daughter's marriage to this rich guy. I needed to buy her fancy clothes. So it's totally Drew. Well,
she borrowed the money
for Rosaline's marriage.
But I feel like it was more like for Rosaline's coming out, like her like debutante season.
It was explicitly that she was going to pay it back.
All right, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. Emmeline sucks. Whatever. And this is the only way that, frankly, this is probably the only way that Rosaline would have gotten out of her mother's clutches. And I say more power to her. Like, good for Rosaline. And also, she's not a bitch. Like, Billie comes there with the kid, and Rosaline comes out and is like, oh, what super a cute baby. And, like, obviously doesn't know it's Drew's kid. But, like, she's like, hi, nice to meet you. Like, I'm Rosaline.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Drew, like, my family's in there. I don't know. I don't know. I don't mind.
She deserves none of this.
Normally I get so annoyed when the hero is like spends at least part of the novel like bumping after like someone else. Like I'm one of those people who like I don't really like the other woman. Like I don't like when that happens. No. I want him to be gung-ho. But in this case, I don't care because I'm like, because A, Rosaline's like super chill, but B, because this is the first time that I genuinely feel like Billie does not care. Like Billie is like absolutely like whatever. Like he dated other people. We were broken up. Like that's crazy. And like I personally would probably be a petty bitch if I were in Billie's situation. But like I fully am on board with Billie like being so chill with it.
She does spend a while being like, oh, he must have been in love with her. Like I feel kind of bad. She says like fairy princess.
Well, yeah, but like she's not like, oh, I begrudge Drew for like being with somebody else and like for loving somebody. You know what I mean? Like she's like she's like, I get how the world works. Like Billie is very chill. Billie does not give a shit about what anyone thinks.
Yeah, but you know who does give a shit is Emelina, Rosaline's mother, who despite being deeply in debt with the only hope of paying it off being this marriage, as soon as she finds out about Drew's bastard, she's like, it's off. We're over. Fuck you. Don't talk to him, Rosaline. And Rosaline listens to her, which is what she's been conditioned to do her entire life.
She's been abused. Rosaline,
she's
like,
crying.
Rosalie's a victim of abuse.
Yeah, she does not deserve this. Yeah.
But she gets
so the
out
engagement's
of her mother's
off. So naturally, So Alonza, who we haven't heard much about up to this point, but Alonza is
She's Drew's mom.
Drew's mother. She's super into getting her sons married off to secure the lineage of the ranch because he's the
Oh
heir.
well, yeah, that's the thing is that like
and also have
because the
grandchildren.
government's taking all the Spanish people's ranches like basically illegally. They're like the way to secure the ranch is to like have a baby so that baby will be an American citizen and be able to own the ranch.
Yeah.
So that is like part of the equation. Like that's part of why she's like Drew.
Well, that's actually what I was super confused about because like I don't know enough about this. I'm sure I could easily I should have Googled this. So the Treaty of Guadalupe and Hidalgo, like they say that it's been like 3 to 4 generations later and people are still having issues securing their land. But those people, if you were born here 3 to 4 generations later, they would be American citizens. And so at that point, wouldn't adverse possession kick in? Like they're talking about squatters coming in and like claiming the land as their own, presumably through like adverse possession. Whatever.
Hey, Rachel.
Yeah.
Rachel, you know what the explanation for that is? Racism and imperialism and the U.S. government being sacks of shit to anyone who was originally in the West.
All I'm saying is if Alonza's saying, oh, we can secure the lineage by having a kid, like couldn't all those other people have done the same? Like how realistic? Whatever. Alonza also just really wants grandkids, so we're not going to focus too much on her like, mercenary goals.
She has a bunch of hot sons. She could have some cute ass grandkids.
So Alonza is like thinking to herself, and she's like, well, I love my new grandson and I don't want him to go to hell. I think the words she uses are his soul in jeopardy for eternity. Is that like actually a thing in Catholicism?
Like, I guess I didn't look it up, but I fully believe that like Catholics are
bastards go to purgatory or hell.
But I guess Antonio wouldn't if his parents got married like after the fact.
That just doesn't make sense. And she's also like, oh, well, I don't take the sacraments to the extreme like Emelina Ruiz, that crazy bitch, but I do follow the edicts. But like picking and choosing much, Alonza? Come on.
Well, I think that just means that like Alonza's like, I'm not a fucking bitch like Emelina Ruiz, but like I'm still Catholic. Like she goes up to like she goes every Sunday. She like takes an overnight wagon trip to go to church. So like Alonza's religious. She's just not like a judgmental bitch.
Yeah.
Like she's chill. She's a chill Catholic.
Yeah.
She's a cool one. She's a cool one. She's hip. She's like a youth pastor. She's like, hey guys, like Jesus is your friend.
Yeah. Naturally, they have to get married. Drew, you're getting married.
Yes. She's like, I would rather not have a prostitute for daughter-in-law, but also Billie seems chill and my grandson's really fucking cute. So you guys have to get married. And yeah, Billie and Drew are like, no, we can't. And then they start arguing and the baby's crying. And then Alonza pulls out her sexy bullwhip and is like,
wait, there's a bullwhip? I totally missed that.
She has a whip. It comes up in all of the other books, too. She's constantly using the whip to like when people are like being crazy, she's just like, shut the fuck up and everyone's going to listen to me. And that's what she does. Billie and Drew are arguing because Drew is like, I can't believe you had a kid and you didn't tell me and now you're just showing up and you're ruining my life. And he's like very upset, which like understandable, like whatever. Like this kid is 1 year old and he was just about to get married. I can understand why he would be sort of like off kilter. But yeah, they're arguing and then Alonza just like pulls out her whip and like cracks it and is like, you guys are getting married
into line
today.
Yeah.
Opportunity for kink missed. And Alonza also has a side romance with Max Rudd, who's this guy that like basically throughout the trilogy is like their relationship like to the side anyway. And I'm just saying like Max Rudd seems like the type of guy who would like be into some kink in the bedroom.
For sure.
So I'm saying they could probably bring that whip in, and I know Alonza knows how to use it.
And this is also skipping ahead, but Alonza, I guess like it's just like a romance requirement that there be like at least one character who like doesn't really know what's up with like sex.
So
because she's like, I guess with her first husband, like didn't really do it for her. And she's like asking Billie for like tips later on, and Billie is like having to explain all this. And yeah, I don't know. At one point,
Alonza's never had an orgasm.
Well, right. They're like,
so backstory from the first book is that like Alonza was like in love with the husband and like basically like forced him into marrying her. But like he was like, oh, I was just like being nice to you, but like now I have to marry you for honor purposes. So he never loved her. And so like their relationship was fine, but like she never came.
Yeah.
And Max Rudd is like her late husband's best friend.
But Billie is like, oh yeah, like Drew told me that some men believe good women didn't have orgasms, which I know is like a thing I've heard other times. Like how How did men ever get away with that? I just don't understand. Like
Gaslight, gatekeep,
gatekeep.
boy boss. Like it's just like,
I did never
no, it's
realize boy boss has
wrong.
such a better ring to it. Like
It
got that
does.
alliteration.
Rachel, all you got to do is spend the first 20 years of a woman's life telling her that her clitoris is like the button of the devil. And then, like, bam, you got a woman who's totally fine with her husband never giving her orgasms. Like, well,
Anyway,
it is.
speaking of
That interaction is really cute. That interaction is really cute between
that's
like,
later
Billie,
on though.
'cause
Right
Billie's
now,
like, yeah.
Yeah, right now Billie and Drew have just gotten married real quick with a seemingly corrupt priest who's supposed to be the good guy, but he like
No,
doesn't
he's
require a witness.
chill.
Yeah, but he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll just like some Alonza can sign the forms later, like whatever," which like come on, my friend.
No, okay, so the priest is also in the first book, and the priest briefly tried to marry the older brother's wife in the first book. It's like a side plot.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the priest is chill. The thing is, it's like it's all something that I really like about this book is like the sense of community that you get. Like this town feels really
True.
lifelike. Like this town feels like these are people who all really know each other and are really close and they trust each other and they look out for each other, and like it feels really like they're not just like, let me stick a name on the side character and have them deliver a line. Like it feels like they're all like fully fleshed out.
I kind of agree, but also I just feel like some of the side characters do feel like NPCs. Like they just like
A little
they seem
bit.
like they exist for like no reason other than to like offer some like sage advice. I don't know. Like but yeah, I don't hate it.
You can't win them all, but overall I feel like this town feels very full to me.
Yeah.
Like it feels fleshed out.
Yeah, for sure. So back to clitorises, even though they're super mad at each other, they do after all have a prostitute Mr. relationship to fall back on. And we come to my most hated line of the entire book. Quote, small fleshy nubbin that defined her as a woman. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Listen, it's hard. It's hard when you write historical romance and the word clit wasn't invented until the 1950s. Like, how do you describe it?
Not that. I'm sorry. Like, rest of the scene, great. A+. That.
Anyway. Okay. Yeah, they have really good sexual chemistry, and then Drew immediately fucks off to San Francisco because he's still being a
he's like,
bitch.
bye. Yeah. No, and that's where he finds out, I thought. Oh, no. Never mind. Yeah, no. The like issue. Yeah. So while he's in San Francisco, Billie decides to go on a little jaunt out to look for some roses, I think. And
so she knows how to plant roses. She has a little green thumb. And Alonza's like, fix my rose bush.
So she's like out in her wagon. She's going for a joyride. First time free of the baby in a while. And luckily for her, the California grizzly bear is still extant at this point. It has not yet gone extinct because up ahead, local farmer man is fighting to the death with his dogs against a grizzly bear. Billie gets it with a few shots to the heart, which leading back to, I think I mentioned the bear survival facts in the last video.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, Rachel. That we brought it up in the wrong episode.
Yeah, that's true.
This is the time to teach our audience how to survive a bear attack.
Yeah, but guns are not the go-to weapon that you want. I mean, if that's all you have, like, you got to go for it. But this is why we see, like, it takes her, 4 or 5 shots to get this bear. They're hardy, and I feel like, you want the pepper spray, which obviously was not invented yet. But I mean, she eventually gets it.
No. The Revenant with the Leonardo DiCaprio bear movie. At the beginning of the movie, he gets attacked by a bear. He shoots this bear like 6 times, and the bear still fucking wins. Never go up against an irritable grizzly bear.
Nothing more fun than an irritable grizzly bear. This bear does not win, but it does take one of the dogs with it, and they just like don't care. They're just like, oh, that dog was stupid anyway. Like, are you fucking? That dog
Well,
Spidey
okay,
didn't save your life, mister.
no. The dog is the reason the
Oh,
bear
yeah.
attacked. He's like,
Whatever.
the dog has been a fucking
Details.
idiot his whole life, and he's like too dumb to not know that you don't go after a grizzly bear and her 2 cubs. Like, everybody knows you don't go after a mama
Aw,
bear and her
so the
cubs.
cubs are gonna die now, probably. That's how they went extinct. That was
Oh
probably
my
like the
god, it's like
last.
Brother Bear. Is the
Wow.
farmer gonna get transformed into a bear now, and then he's gonna have like a spiritual like road trip movie with his new
Do,
brother
do,
bear?
do, 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 do. Yeah, I hope so.
That's fucking Tarzan, but also Phil
Whatever, same thing.
Collins, so
Yeah, true.
adjacent to
Yeah.
Brother Bear.
I can't immediately think of any of the songs, but yeah, a classic.
No, it's Phil Collins. That's all you got.
Yeah. So she helps this farmer, and I feel like this scene, it seems weird to me. So this scene, like, she saves this guy from a bear, and this is what makes everyone in town like her. She starts like giving out shooting lessons to the women. But then later on, they all find out about her background, and and half of them like turn on her. I feel like
No,
the
no.
classic.
There's like a sprinkling of them
Yeah,
turn
yeah,
on
yeah.
her. Like
True.
the people who like you don't really like anyway.
Yeah, I feel like the classic structure would have been to have everyone like judging her, and then she saves the guy, and they're like, "Oh, we accept you," right? I guess it's fine this way
But I think
too.
this is the way that she gets in, because at this point she's like not a part of the community yet, because her relationship with Drew
True.
is like very
Yeah.
tenuous. Like they don't have a real marriage basically. And so this is her way of being like, I'm a member of this community regardless of whether Drew ever like stops being a dick. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm important. People like me. I have friends. Like, I'm here to stay.
I'm the self-defense expert of this California town.
Yes,
Yeah.
and not just in gun fair, which we find out later.
Oh, it's
Like,
true.
she has
Yeah,
got she's a renaissance woman. Like,
she's
Billie
like
knows how to
full
do
on
everything.
UFC. Yeah, no.
So
So
Drew is in
yeah,
town,
yeah.
and Billy's asked him to check on Addie to like make sure
Mm,
she's okay, because she thinks that rightfully so that Prince is going to try to come after Addie. So Drew
right.
checks on Addie, and Addie's like, so you got your hot little queen now? Like, I saw that in my magic eye. And Drew was like, what? And he's like, you're gonna love her for hey bitch, you're gonna love her forever. What is
Till
it,
there's
like,
no
you're gonna love her
tomorrow.
until the day you die, until there's no tomorrow? And Drew
Yep.
was like, what? This spooky old woman just like gave me a prophecy. And Addie's like, that's right, bitch, I did. And then like Drew cuts us off because he's like overwhelmed by this prophecy, understandably.
Right. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it does a little too much work. Like, that shouldn't be the only reason that he's like, "Oh, I actually love you." Like, it's like
I don't think he is.
self-fulfilling.
I think it's the reason that he like gives himself permission to love her. Because
Maybe.
because even though he doesn't slut shame her, like, I still think there is the element of like, this woman was like a whore who's like, I paid for sex for years. Like, they had like a years long relationship of like where he would come and hang out with her in the city. And it's
Yeah.
hard to like transition from that type of relationship, especially when you're living in the 1880s and like you think slut shaming is bad today.
Yeah,
Like,
no, for
slut
sure.
shaming, yeah.
So, yeah, so I guess do we have the Prince Emelina interaction happens like sort of
Yeah, Prince goes to
like before
collect his
this. His
debt.
debt, as we previously explained, Emelina took out money to fund Rosaline's wedding. It didn't work
And we
out
learn this now.
because
This is, we're like, oh my god, like they have a
yeah,
connection. The 2 biggest dicks in this whole book
right.
like are actually pals.
And Prince also sees Rosaline. He's like, "Oh, she's hot. I want to bang her." And so while Rosaline's like listening through the door, Prince is like, "Yeah, either pay up or your daughter. I'm like kidnapping and sexually assaulting your daughter."
For a week. Yeah, he's like, you can pay me for a week with your daughter.
Right.
With like
And so
and Rosaline is obviously like, I don't think
time
so.
to get the hell out of
Like,
Dodge.
kind of running away. She had her cool. Rosalina has a cool great aunt that she runs away with.
Her duenna. So they call it the duenna, which I'm guessing is like aunt / chaperone, but it's weird because I'm pretty sure that word means like owner. Dueña means owner. So I'm not sure why that they like say it in Spanish. I don't.
I feel like
Google
that's definitely a
translated
thing in languages where it's like,
yeah, I guess
words
true.
mean multiple things.
Sure.
Anyway,
So
Rosaline runs to her only ally, Drew.
And it's like, help me. Is this, but when does this happen? Is this after he comes back from San Francisco? Is this how he finds out that they know?
He's in San Francisco. He comes back from Addie. He's in his office. He's just had some more bad court racism news. And then Rosaline comes in and she is like,
oh, she comes to his office. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, she's like, help
Yeah,
me.
she's like, my mom told him where Billie is. My mom is gonna sell me to him. Like, you need to help me. And so he gets his like, I don't know, secretary or something. And he's like, secretary who also like / bodyguard to take her to like Sacramento or whatever. He's like, help her get out of here. And in my head, I'm like, the bodyguard and Rosalie are gonna get together. Like, that's Rosalie's
Justice for
happy ending.
Rosaline.
That no,
Justice for
I'm assuming
Rosaline.
they bond. There is a whole unwritten like road trip
No, I
romance
need it to be
that occurs
written.
with that.
I need it
That's
to
what
be
yeah,
written.
Beverly Jenkins, if you would like to write like a novella, like I would be completely open to that, of Rosaline and this bodyguard / secretary / man who is able to defend her and take her to Sacramento. Anyway, that happens,
So
and
right
then
after,
Drew was like, Drew's like, I gotta close up shop. Like, Prince is like, I gotta go and protect Billie because Prince could already be on his way there. So he like gathers up all his client files because he's a good lawyer who protects his client confidentiality. And then he hears some pattering feet coming up the stairs, and he pulls out his gun
and
and what does
shoots
he
him in the
do?
kneecaps.
Yes, it's amazing. The
Right in the
couples who
kneecaps.
shoot together stay together.
Oh man, but they never actually shoot together. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's the spirit.
Whatever, they shoot parallel to each
Yeah,
other. She's
yeah.
fighting off the bear. He's fighting off these ruffians. He shoots them in the
Yeah.
kneecaps. He's like, "Who sent you?" Like fucking Liam Neeson in Taken.
Yep.
He's like, "Who sent you?" And they're like, "We're not gonna tell you." And then he shoots some more in the kneecaps. And he's like, "Who fucking sent you, bitch?" And they're like, "It was Prince." And he's like, "Good. Someone is gonna have heard those gunshots. So you better get the fuck out of here before the police come." And they're like, "What? We can't fucking walk." And he's like, "I don't care." And then like they crawl out the door, and then he's like, you hear some like thuds as they like roll down the stairs. And he's like,
oh,
good.
Yeah. So by this point, he's like, all right, my plan to live in San Francisco and ditch Billie and the baby are going south. I better get back to the ranch and protect them.
Yes.
So he does
and
that.
Meantime, Prince comes back for Rosaline and sees that she has disappeared, and then he kills Emelina and also the maid. And I feel bad that the maid was collateral damage.
It's true. Like,
I don't really feel bad that Emelina died. Well, he kills the both because the maid's a witness, and then he like robs the house a little bit to make it look like a robbery because Prince is good at covering up his crimes.
And then he's like, next stop, just one more thing to check off my to-do list, killing Addie. Because he has previously gone to Addie to ask where Billie is. And Addie has basically been like, yeah, I was killing your mom, and I know you killed my daughter, so fuck you.
Watch out, bitch.
Yeah, and that's when he had his little thing of like, oh man, I better not mess with the switch. So he's like, oh, well, I can't kill her in person, so I better just send my guys to light her house on fire.
Yes.
So of course
and
that
Addie
won't come back to bite me.
And Addie does not. Addie literally, she's like, I know I'm gonna die tonight. So she like gives away all her like valuable possessions to her friends and neighbors, and she puts on her nicest nightgown, and she just lies in bed, and she's literally just lying there like listening to them splash kerosene around her house, and like she hears them light the fire, and like she's like, nope, it's my time to go. Like, I'm just gonna go like this.
Yeah,
and
she's like
Prince
laughing
is like,
joyfully.
Yeah, Prince is like, I
flames.
burned the witch, and Addie's like, did you? Did you, or did I burn myself? Like, what's the truth? Like, you're not gonna take away my agency, Prince Dushan, you little bitch boy. And Addie goes up in flames, like the fucking queen she is, like the Grand Witch. Love her.
Yep. No, she's hardcore for sure. Do you feel like there's supposed to be kind of like a Pearl Prince Billie Tonio parallel? I don't know. I'm just thinking because they're like,
oh, what? Where Pearl is like a shitty mother?
I don't know. It's just something. I just realized they're just like both former prostitutes and their sons. I don't know.
Yeah, where like Tonio is gonna grow up. I don't know. Yeah,
not get shot in the face. I don't know.
Well, not be a dick who tries to rape women, like, and kills people. Like, generally not a horrible person.
Yeah, no. For sure. Yeah.
Anyway, they come back.
Drew comes back
for the birthday party.
Oh yeah, and Drew has this like little thought. He's like, "Oh, I'm so glad that little boys don't wear dresses anymore, so that they can stop being mistaken for their sisters." And I'm like, "Oh, God forbid that like the little kids get treated as badly as their girls do."
I didn't love that. I was like,
seems unnecessary,
Drew. Yeah, I was like turning around for you, but now I'm kind of not anymore. But I still like you. But I don't
He
like
does
that. But also it's the
yeah.
1880s, so like
Yeah.
whatever.
He does have a nice little moment of like taking Tonio out for a ride
Yeah.
and being like, and like almost like losing him for like 5 seconds and being like, oh my God, I actually think of this child by name now instead of just like the baby.
Yeah. But it's cute. And they go fishing and like they go for a hike. And he's
Yeah,
like,
they go
look at the bald
together.
eagles, Tonio. And Tonio is like,
Yeah.
blah, 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 because he can't talk yet.
Yeah.
And super cute. I love watching
Yeah.
tough men, like alpha men become like doting dads. It's so cute. I love that trope.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite tropes. Tough man destroyed by a baby.
Yeah, that is like Tonio's whole shtick. Is like, yeah. They're constantly saying how he's going to be like so good looking as an adult. And I'm like, I feel like I've never seen a baby that I can like tell distinctive facial features.
Well, he's 1 year old. Like he can
Yeah.
walk. Like he, you know what I mean? He's not like a
Mhm.
baby. But I think it's more because like he's every time he meets a woman, she's like, "Oh my god, you're so fucking cute." And they're like, "Haha, he's already a lady killer." Like whatever. I think that's the
Yeah,
shtick. But
maybe.
also what I like about that, because I think kids in romance, sometimes the kid, like, you're just like, "Oh my god, this kid is so fucking annoying." Like
Yeah,
I'm
at least
so
he can't
annoyed by
talk,
this
thank
person's
God.
child. But also like sometimes the kid also just feels like a prop. And I like for
Mhm.
me, Tonio doesn't like Tonio feels like I feel like I could like squish his cheeks and like squish his little like thigh rolls. Like Tonio feels like a real baby. And like I don't know, I just really like the way like I don't know whether Beverly Jenkins is a mother. I think she has kids, but maybe not. But like it feels like this was written by someone who has like interacted with babies before and like squishes them. And like I don't know, like Tonio just felt like a real child rather than just like a prop, which I feel like is a lot of times when like kids are in books.
Yeah. Yeah. So later that day when they come back, Antonio's taking his nap, Drew and Billie have like a little moment of like sharing their childhood trauma and like opening up. And that's when Billie is like, oh yeah, I had to become a prostitute at age 12 when I was first pimped out. And Drew's response is like, oh, there's no shame in that. And it's like, okay, how about like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
There's
You had to
nothing
become a
you can
prostitute at the
do
age of
about
12.
it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I get that it's like, yeah, the time period, but it's like, yeah, I didn't think there was shame in it. I thought I was a 12-year-old that was trafficked. Like, what? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
And then after that, they go on another picnic the same day. Like, not picnic, but like outing to the same river with Tonio, which is like, seems like a lot.
Yeah, Drew decides, I don't think it's the same.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
Oh,
Drew
yeah.
decides that he's going to romance Billie, which I also love. When like the hero's been kind of a dick, and he decides that like he's not going to be a dick anymore, and he's gonna like work to win his lady's affection.
He decides to take them on a picnic. Okay, a picnic usually involves food. What does he pack on this fucking picnic? A few raw potatoes and an onion. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to catch a fish.
Stew.
He can't even catch it. He makes her cook it. He makes her cook it, though.
He's gonna make fucking fish stew.
Oh
the
my
potatoes
God,
and
it's
fish
true.
and carrots. He was gonna make the fucking stew, but he can't fish.
That would have been delicious, but he can't even catch a fucking fish. He wasn't gonna make it though. He was gonna have Billie make it. Like, are you fucking kidding me? He was like, oh yeah, I asked the cook for this food. And I'm like, you could have walked into like any pantry and just found some raw fucking potatoes, my dude. Like, what? There's no preparation in this. So yeah, so they end up eating potatoes and an onion that Billie cooks. I don't know. Picnic, great idea.
Whatever.
But if you're gonna take someone on a
They
date
cook it
like
together.
that, like, you're not having them do the work. Like,
anyway, at that night, I think it's that night. There's like a little casual "I love you," like pretty early on, like there's still like, I don't know. I listened to the audiobook. There was still like 2 hours left, and I like the little casual, just like it's like the "I love you." I'm a sucker for like a big grand like last 20 pages like "I love you." Like I love those scenes, but I also kind of like when it's just like, hey, we've realized that we love each other, and the rest of the book is going to be us like knocking out the rest of the exterior problems, and like showing how strong we are as a couple, and like that's what happens in this book.
Yeah, I like that. However, at one point, like right after that, it's like, it was a night Billie would remember for the rest of her life. And I don't know if it was just the way the audiobook narrator said it, but it made it sound like, oh, she's going to die soon, like the rest of her life, aka 24 hours. Like,
for the rest of her life, her very, very short life.
Yeah, it will end in a page or two.
we know that Prince is still circling because the next day, so they're going to build a house. So Drew has had his spot picked out for his house since he was a kid, and it seems like a very picturesque, beautiful house view, and I would love to have a house there. It's like on the edge of the river, like on a cliff, like it has mountain views. It's beautiful. So the whole, because it's a community, they all come help build the houses together. And
it's
they're
like a
hanging
barn
out.
raising, but a house. Yeah.
And I think it's like right before they leave, Billie gets...
No, it's during the picnic. Yeah,
during
whatever.
it, at around the
Doesn't
on
matter,
this afternoon, Billie gets a telegram. It's the most dramatic fucking thing. Like, Prince is an idiot. He's a fucking dumbass. Like, this is why he's like a villain that you're like, I can't even fucking take you seriously because like you're such an asshole. He sends a telegram that just says soon, but he doesn't even make it dramatic. He doesn't like that. Fine, like soon, period. Like, and that's it. I can respect that, but it's soon, like, signed Prince Duchamp. Like, he signs it with his name. I'm like, you really ruined it there, buddy. Like, you really ruined it there. Like, you had something, and then you signed your name like I don't know. I can feel like it feels like one of those, like, in elementary school when you would like send your crush a note that was like, do you like me? Like, yes, no. Like, Alison or whatever. Like, that's what it felt like. Like, PD, Prince Duchamp. Like, do you want me to kill you? Yes, no.
Yeah, for sure. No, but I don't like the fact that like Billie waits until after the picnic, until after they've had sex to tell Drew about this like wire. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I feel like this is like a much more like, despite the fact that Prince is like an idiot, like he allegedly has a reputation for killing people. So like, why are you waiting to like alert?
I think she's just like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
what do they
already
know? They already know that he like knows.
They already know he's after them. So like, this is just this is just Prince being like a dramatic ass. Like, he's just
giving warning so they can build the moat.
Yeah,
like
what?
Yeah.
You've just witnessed that the whole town is like out to build this house. You think the town wouldn't be able to like finish out a moat in like 2 days?
Yeah.
You're just giving them warning.
Yeah. So the only other thing of significance that happens during the picnic is like, this is when Alonza and Max like announce they're getting together, right?
Yeah. Well,
and
something else happens.
Eli and Naomi. And this is like another example of like the side characters that I'm like, what is the point of you? I guess there is a point in like
they were in the
Naomi
first book as
relevant.
Well.
Yeah, Naomi needs to stay relevant for later.
This
Eli
is another
like
this
friends.
Whole series has like multiple couples that are just like side character through
it's kind of just like
that I
like.
like.
I don't know. I don't really care. It's just like seems. Oh, I don't know.
It's cute. Like, Love is in the air. It's California.
Yeah,
it's summertime.
It definitely is. Yeah, and this is when we get the little like Alonza sexual education.
Yeah, sex education by Billie Yates.
Yep.
We also, 2 other things that happen to this. First of all, they have a baby jail, which is just like a fence where they put all the babies in and then like pay people to babysit, which is a thing. Someone who has been, but they call it the baby jail, which I love. But it's something that Beverly Jenkins has like, all the other books that I've read have also contained a reference to baby jail. And I love it. Like, I'm assuming this is a thing that like Beverly Jenkins has experienced in her real life, that like her friends or whatever use something called a baby jail. But like, I just really love that little like, it's like a world staple for Beverly
I'm
Jenkins
just picturing basically those like little playthings that you put out for like your puppy. Yeah.
No, but it's just funny. It's anyway.
Yeah,
but also at this picnic we meet Billie meets one of her old coworkers who left a few years ago or whatever, and Billie didn't know what happened to her, and she goes up and she's going by a different name now. Nobody knows she's like a former prostitute, and Billie's not going to out her because Billie's chill. Like, Billie's like, I'll keep your secret, but like, it's nice to see you again. Like, hopefully we can be friends. And the other lady, who's, I think her real name's Wanda. I forget what her original name was.
Jenna Lane. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Jenna Lane. Anyway,
former
Wanda, Jenna, Billie's former coworker. Yeah, they had that little interaction. So remember her.
So
back at the house, back at the ranch.
Drew goes back to San Francisco, right?
No, not yet. No. Oh. Okay. So they're all hanging out. They're all like, sleep. And then some guy runs up and he's like, there's been a fire. There's been a fire at Naomi's restaurant. And so obviously, because it's the 1880s and they don't have fucking fire trucks, like, or 911, like they all have to form a bucket brigade to help put the fire out. And so Billie is like, I have a 1-year-old child, so like the 1-year-old child cannot help with the bucket brigade, so I'm gonna go home while like all the men folk are in the town. And what does Billie find when she gets home? Because they didn't build the moat, what happens?
Wait, no, Drew did go back to San Francisco at one point to look for Prince, but it's not really important. He just goes back to look for him, doesn't find him, talks to Gertie, the NPC / other madam, whatever. But yeah, anyway, flashback.
This isn't when he does the paint,
matter.
though.
Yeah, he did the paint.
Oh, maybe it does. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So Drew goes back to San Francisco, but he has like a one dramatic ass thing where he asks Gertie, the like across the street madam,
NPC.
for paint. The Billie's former like whorehouse has been closed because Pearl's dead. Pearl's dead, guys. Wrap up that storyline. Pearl has officially succumbed to her many years of poisoning. Prince closed the whorehouse, and Drew goes up and writes soon.
Bastard.
AY.
Something like that.
Soon, you bastard. AY. Which, like, perfect. That is how you write a threatening note. Like, it's a callback to the villain's thing. Like, not signing your full name. And, like, yeah.
It's in red paint, awesome. Which could be blood.
Yes. It's the drama. Yeah. Like, in broad daylight, he paints this shit. Like, he's not even sneaking about. He's like, everyone is going to fucking know that I'm threatening you, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it.
Yep. Except that he doesn't find Prince because Prince is too busy setting fire or planting the seeds to set fire to Naomi's restaurant.
Yeah. So when we find out, Prince comes to Wanda's house. Yes. And he is like, how's my son? So you find out that Wanda... I don't know whether we don't know whether her relationship with Prince was consensual. I'm assuming it wasn't. But anyway, her son, who she passed off as like her husband's son.
No, she said she's a widow. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
She said she's a widow to like say that she, I don't know, whatever.
Her new husband. Yeah.
We find out that her son is there, and that's how Prince knows that like she is living there. And he's like, I'm going to kill you and your son if you don't set Naomi's house on fire. So she does, because she's like a waitress or whatever at this restaurant. Anyway, so the fire is happening, and Prince puts us right on over to the ranch, and he ties up fucking hell, what's her name?
Mariah,
who is the older brother's wife. Her and Logan were the first book.
And fun fact, Mariah's daughter was born on the same day as little Tonio. Sorry to ruin the build up here. Indeed.
Anyway, so Billie's like coming back. She's like, fire is no place for my baby. And she opens the door and she sees Mariah. Mariah's like, Billie, run! But too late, because Prince comes out of there with his thugs and he's like, give me the baby. And Billie's like, no. He's like, give me the baby or I'm gonna fucking kill Mariah and her baby. And Billie's like, I definitely believe him. And like, yeah, fair. Like, I appreciate a heroine who is like, yeah, I believe. Like, you wouldn't kill a baby. Like, she's not dumb. She's not like pretending that Prince has like a moral compass. She's like, I know the way the wind is blowing. So anyway, she gives, unfortunately, one of the thugs, Tonio. They tie up Mariah. Billie gets chloroformed and she gets kidnapped. And Drew comes back and he sees Mariah. He's like, oh my God, where's my wife and child? And Mariah's like, Prince Duchamp took him.
Yep.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun. Yep. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, yeah. And Prince is like, oh, I'll leave Mariah alive, but only because I want your husband to know exactly who took you and your son. Like, what? Why?
Because he's a cocky bitch. He's a cocky son of a bitch. He likes taunting Rachel. This is entirely in line with his character. He sent that. Did you forget the telegram so soon? He sent the goddamn telegram. You seriously think that he wouldn't be like, I want him to know who did it? Like, this is absolutely in line with what we know about Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, Drew is like, gotta go rescue my wife. So him and older brother Logan puts off to San Francisco, and they're searching high and low, and they can't find her. They don't know where she is. And then we flash back to Billie. And where is Billie, Rachel?
Billie is tied up in Prince's clutches, Alison. Not looking good for little Mina over
shipping
here.
Container.
Oh, yeah. Really? I missed that. Yeah, and basically she's like, where's my son? Where's my son? And Prince is like, doesn't matter because you're going to be dead. DEAD.
dead. I know how to
D-E-D.
spell.
I can't. Yeah, I can't read.
D-E-D, dead.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm definitely going to kill you. However, have sex with me and maybe you'll stay alive for a little bit longer.
He's like, but I'm a horny bitch, as has been established from the beginning, and been trying to fuck you for years.
Yeah, despite the fact that the last time I tried to do this, I got myself shot in the face. I can't possibly see how it could head in that direction this time. So let's give it another go. 5 years the charm. And though Billie does not have her trusty handgun at this point, she does still have a skull. She does still have a head, which she uses to headbutt Prince in the chin and cut off the tip of his tongue, as well as several teeth.
Yes, she's amazing. And then she like kicks him in the balls.
Yeah, she like gets like stomping him.
He gets lit on fire.
Oh yeah, she grabs a lantern
into the lamp. Yeah, there's a lamp.
This is why. Listen, tips for kidnappers. This is why you tie people's hands behind their back, because when they're in the front, like you can still like smash a lantern onto your head. Like
Prince gets lit on fire, and which is amazing. He's just running around. He's on fire, and Billie, she literally like no emotion. She feels a little bit of satisfaction that this bitch is like being killed, but otherwise like no, she's just like a stone cold bitch.
No, that's
she's
so
like
true.
Standing there, arms crossed in the shipping container, being like, "That's right, asshole. Like you're on fucking fire.
I told you I'd get you, and I got you. Yeah,
you little bitch. Like I finished what I started 3 years ago, whenever she shot him was."
That's so true. I feel like so many other books, they'd be like immediately in hysterics or something. And this is just like,
but Billie's like, no, because because before Drew, when they get the threatening note, Drew is like, "Can I kill him as soon as I see him?" And she's like, "Abso-fucking-lutely." And like multiple times, does Billie in her internal monologue, is she like, "If I see Prince, I will immediately kill him. No hesitation. If he tries to touch my son, I will take him out." Billie, she's not fucking around. She doesn't have time. She knows how the world works. She's like, "I'm not going to pretend to see the good in people. Like, no, I'm killing Prince because he needs to be put down." And that's exactly what she fucking does. And he's on fire, and then he pokes a hole, like somehow smashes a hole in the shipping container and falls into the water and drowns.
Dies
by
water.
His cause of death. He dies by water and fire.
Addie
and Chassis added again.
Yep. The one, give him the old one too. The old fire water gift.
Fire, water, earth. Billie's actually the avatar. Anyway, so she goes off to that NPC.
Oh, she does. Brothel. She is really tired, and so she like falls asleep.
Oh, see, the adrenaline rush.
Drew. Yeah.
No, she's been chloroformed. She's tired. She's just been assaulted. She just killed a man. The adrenaline wears off. So she goes up and she's like about to be like, "Call my husband," but instead she passes out. Understandably.
Yep. True. However, so Drew is still like frantically searching, but not very good at it. It seems like he's not found a single person that he tried to find in this book, except for randomly stumbling into Billie. He tries to find Billie. He doesn't find her except when he randomly stumbles into her at the shoe shine store. Okay. He tries to find Prince. The closest he gets is like a threatening sign. He's now trying to find Tonio and Billie, but shocker, he won't be able to find either without help because Wanda/Jenna, the ex prostitute that was friends with Billie, has like a crisis of conscience, and she runs and like confesses everything to Logan. She's like, "I had to do it. I said to Drew and Logan. I think both of them are there. Whatever. She's like, "I had to set fire. He was going to kill my son, and now I'm going to get the hell out of Dodge." Which just brings me back to like in this book, there's plenty of women that are able to disappear without a trace, like no problem. Rosaline, Jenna/Wanda, Billie's the only one who like.
Well, she would have been able to disappear without a trace. But A, she doesn't go that far from San Francisco. She's like half a day's ride from San Francisco. Like she's still in the general area. And B, the only way the prince finds out about her is because of snitch Emelina.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't have found out about her otherwise.
Yeah, that's true.
Either way.
Anyway, Wanda like,
confesses all, and she's like, "I took the baby for Prince to sell it to a loving family."
Yep. The loving family turns out to be our good friend Consuela. And we skipped over this, but the last time we saw Consuela was when Drew went to visit her that last time he was in San Francisco, and she was like, "Can't have your new prostitute wife." Oh, because it came out in the newspaper that Billie was a prostitute.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows she was a prostitute.
Yeah. And Consuela was kind of a bitch, But now she's eating her words because in this sad
but
scene.
Also, like Drew's like, yeah, I had
Yeah.
to ditch my friend Consuela and her husband because Consuela was like a bitch to you. And Billie was like, dude, like, you know how the world works. She's like, I'm not ashamed of being a whore, but like, don't like, she's literally
Yeah.
just doing like
She's
what
very
she's like,
chill.
everybody, like, this is how the world works. Like, don't pretend that like everybody's suddenly going to be nice to like prostitutes just because you married one.
Right.
Like, she's like, I don't want to be friends with Consuela because she does seem like a bitch, but like, also, like, you can't blame her. Like, don't be a dick. She calls him out. She doesn't have time for your shit.
Consuela, aside from not liking prostitutes, also is not able to have kids. And so they have, quote unquote, adopted Antonio for approximately 2 days before Drew shows up and he's like, hey, this kid's got my birthmark. I'm going to need to take him back now.
Yeah. And it's really sad. It is really sad. I feel really bad for them. Like, I want them to have a kid. Because listen, I'm sure that there are plenty of other orphaned children in the wilds of 1880s California.
Maybe they should go pick up a like street urchin instead of trying to like scam a newborn baby.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he's one, but yeah, whatever.
Anyway, I feel bad for them. It sucks. But Antonio and Drew, like, Antonio is immediately, he's so happy when he sees his dad and he's like babbling because he still can't talk.
At this point, does Drew know where Billie is? Because I thought it was kind of weird that I thought it was kind of weird that he would like stop his search for Billie to go get Antonio when he knew that Antonio was in like a safe place. Like he knew he was
Rachel, your baby, your child has been kidnapped. You're telling me you're not going to immediately like try to get the kid back. He doesn't have any leads on Billie. He's like, I don't know where the fuck Billie is. I'm going to go rescue my child. And so he rescues his child. He goes back to the office and immediately someone from the NPC's whorehouse comes to fetch him and is like, Billie's here.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes and they reunite and they have a cute little family moment and Billie's like happy. And they like talk about how she's a badass and she like fucked up Prince real hard. And Drew is like, I'm so aroused right now. And I was like, me too, Drew. Me too. Like, I've been aroused for the last 2 hours of listening to this book.
And so they end happily ever after, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing of note that happens, I think, is Alonza and Max's wedding, at which
Noah in the
is present. Well, no, the wedding doesn't happen.
The epilogue is Noah, the youngest brother.
Yeah, he comes back and he's like, I'm gonna have to. I'm only back here for a good time, not a long time, because I gotta go get my boat back. And they're like, you lost your boat, and he's like, yeah, lost my boat,
stolen by a female pirate. And it's amazing. Yeah. That's the plot of the next book.
So stay tuned. I haven't read that one yet, but I have it.
I also love that. I have some small qualms with how I wish it had gone, but it's still very good. Chef's kiss. Also a woman who doesn't give a shit.
I wanted Rosaline to be the female pirate.
No.
Like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, Rachel, oh, it's gonna be Rosaline. She's living her life of crime. The high seas.
So her name is Pilar, and she is a pirate and a revolutionary, and she knows how to sword fight. Rachel, there's a sexy sword fighting scene in the next book. It's so like it's literally foreplay. Like it's like almost explicitly like Beverly Jenkins all but is like, this is foreplay for them. This sword fighting is they're playing with swords, literally, figuratively, sexually, emotionally, playing with swords. It's great. Great.
Excellent. I'm excited.
Anyway, really love this book. Let us know if you guys want us to do the next book in the trilogy, the third book. This one was great. Love it. Love Beverly Jenkins. There's a reason she's one of the queens of historical romance. And I'm really mad at myself that it took me so long to like start reading on her, but now I'm making it up.
It took you like a year and a half.
Binging her. Yeah. Okay, but I've read like 400 books in that year and a half. Rachel. So like it's like known about Beverly Jenkins ever since I watched that documentary recommendation, everyone. Love Between the Covers, which I think is on Amazon Prime for like free on Amazon Prime. It's a great documentary about the romance industry and like highly recommend it. And Miss Bev is in it. Beverly Jenkins is in it. And that was my first introduction to her when I watched that in college. And I was like, oh, in the back of my mind, like, and I follow her on Twitter. I've been following her on Twitter for like 2 years. And I'm obsessed with her and she's great. And like, I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then I finally started doing it. Now I'm binging all of her books and I love it.
All right.
So love Miss Bev. Cat scale.
You go first.
Pretty low.
Yeah,
I really
very
feel like there were
low.
no physical cats. There was very little growling,
There were,
which like I don't like. Is that like
there were-
Miss Bev's ability to like write romance without having the heroine mule
There
is like a
was-
plus?
there was the bear. Bears are distantly related to dogs, so I
No.
feel like that doesn't count.
No,
No.
the bear is not cat-like. I'm sorry.
But growling. But yeah. No explicit growling.
Yeah, but in a distinctly uncat-like capacity.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
true.
Like
Not
I would
very
say the
much
bear is
so,
like
yeah.
almost like if it were a mountain lion, because there are mountain lions, and again, I'm reading Beverly Jenkins' other books set in the same like world.
Wait, are you sure there are mountain lions? What about the Parent Trap, where they're like, there are no mountain lions in these woods?
Well, maybe they're extinct, Rachel, just like the California grizzly.
They are
nowadays.
There
definitely are mountain lions because I have watched many videos of people hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, and every single one of their videos at some point will include a mountain lion spot in California.
I guess it depends where they are. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're like, I don't know.
Cat scale low. Like honestly a 2 or a 3.
Very low cat scale. But honestly not, you know what? That doesn't take away from how great this book is. But yeah, 2, 1.5. Honestly. 1, like the book was fierce like a cat. Cats are fierce.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly.
Like
like 2 or 3 is a courtesy.
0.
Yeah. Right.
So I would say like a 2. Yeah, it's like a courtesy. As like this was a great book. That was great. Like cats are great.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
So Alison, where can they find us?
Well, you can email us at wereaditone@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Instagram at wereaditone, or like us on Facebook at wereaditone, or you can follow us on Twitter at really fucking blanking on whether it's We Read It One Night podcast or just pod. So I'm going to check right now which one it is. You can follow us on Twitter at We Read It podcast. Yeah. And if there's any other ways that you would like to be able to interact with us on the interwebs, let us know. And we will strongly possibly consider doing it maybe. Otherwise, interact with us through reviews.
We will definitely consider doing it if it's available at our local library.
That's true. Or if I already own the book. Either way. Yes. But also, most importantly, subscribe to our Apple Podcast page or wherever you listen to your podcast. And please, please, please leave us a review. 5 stars is preferable. And frankly, the only option. Please don't leave us like 5-star review. And if you, in your review, want to give us a 5-star review and then be like, this podcast sucks, that's fine, as long as you give us 5 stars. And if you also want to be like, hey, you guys should read this book in your review, we will add it to a spreadsheet and that will go into our brainstorming list. So you could pick a book for the podcast if you leave us a review, but only if you leave us a 5-star review. Please leave us a review. It really helps us get noticed on podcasts. Thank you.
Yep. All right.
And as Billie would say, I don't give a shit.
Godspeed, comrade. Yeah.
Billy's not a communist.
Oh, Billie would definitely be a communist. Are you kidding me?
Oh, no, she would be an anarchist, 100%. Billie and Pilar are anarchists. This is actually like a whole anarchist propaganda, this whole series.
I can't wait. All right.
Like Comrade Beverly Jenkins is leading us into the future. I love it. All right. Until next time, comrade.
Yep. Bye.